What it do, house crew? You know, in the confines of my own bed, I'm comfortably sleeping right now. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a different type of video tonight. I was thinking about doing something similar with predicting fighters' aura before and after the fight, but it just kind of made no sense, and it was just really very similar to my predictions video where I'm just saying, oh, this fighter might win and he'll get this, and it's like you've already seen that in the prediction video. But today, I wanted to do a video that I was meaning to do for months now, and I've been kind of holding off on it. But we're going to be ranking undefeated fighters that are currently undefeated right now, all wins, no losses in the UFC. And there is a lot of them. There is still a lot of them, apparently. And we're going to be ranking them based on, their skill, their resume, and also just how good they are in general, and we're also and based on how long will we stay undefeated. And there's a lot of undefeated fighters on this list. I've included some from other promotions as well. Especially there's some women on here as well. There's not a lot of female undefeated fighters, honestly. There really isn't, and maybe I'm missing somebody. I'm trying to think who is undefeated, but I know I think a lot of women's fighters have had losses on their record. It's really hard to find an undefeated one. And I mean, I think there was another one. There's Tatiana Suarez was undefeated, but she lost. So yeah, but let's start off with the first one. We got Ilia Topuria, and I mean, you're going to have to put him in S tier. That is just a automatic lock. Ilia Topuria, 17-0. I mean, he has done everything he has to deserve all types of respect. He's pound for pound number one, two-division champion. He beat three Hall of Famers, honestly legends of the sport, like Max Holloway. You could say he's a top three featherweight of all time. Volkanovski, arguably the featherweight GOAT. Charles Oliveira, top three lightweight champ of all time too. You can even say he's above Khabib if you want to be looking at resume. Because Charles Oliveira's fought everybody, and I feel like the only person better than Charles Oliveira is just Islam Makhachev, and it's just the truth. And Ilia Topuria beat all those guys, and he beat all of them by KO, and he's looked impressive in all of his UFC wins. He's been getting finishes, and even when he gets decisions, he's dominating. And he's young, he's 29 years old, he just looks unstoppable right now. I don't see anybody in the lightweight division beating him, and honestly, I'm going to be real, if he goes up to welterweight, he could pose a lot of problems for a lot of people. His striking is just on a whole nother level. His boxing is just so crisp, and he has insane power for a guy his size. I mean, he's just knocking everybody out. And I mean, to put him in the S tier is just obvious. It's just an obvious thing to do. Where else are you gonna put him, bro? He's two-division champion. He's 17-0. He's probably gonna stay undefeated. He's just going to chase the fight. He's probably going to fight a guy like Islam. And you know what? I think he does beat Islam Makhachev even at 170. I don't really think that is a much competitive. It wouldn't be competitive in my opinion. People like to say Islam is it depends on how he does against JDM. I think that's a good test to see how Islam deals with a boxer. But I think Ilia is just better than JDM. I really do not think that he will struggle that much against Islam Makhachev. He has good grappling, but that's the one thing about Ilia is that he has good grappling too. He's been training wrestling. He's from the Caucasian region. He's just a bad nightmare for Islam Makhachev. And at 155, I was always going to pick him to win by KO, but at 170, it's a bit difficult, But I think Ilia could still get it done at 170. But apart from that, I mean, he's beat everybody. He's probably going to beat more people. He's going to defend the title again. And he's going to fight a guy like maybe Paddy. If he gets Paddy Pimblett, it's such an easy fight. I don't know why people think that's going to be competitive in the slightest notion. I mean, it's just obviously going to be an easy fight. And it's a money fight. So Ilia's probably going to choose that. Azamat Merzakanov, I know a lot of people kind of back him and think that he might beat him. But I don't think anybody in the lightweight division beats him. It's just... It's just not happening. I don't think this guy's going to ever lose. He's just getting better and better and better. And he has all the resources in the world to be better. And, yeah. Enough with the Ilia Glazer, man. Let's go next with Baisungor Sursukayev. And I'll put him in the B tier. He is a decent prospect, and honestly, I think he does have the potential to be ranked. He didn't look good in his last fight, but he is fighting this Saturday against Eric Mokaev, and I do think he's going to win that fight pretty dominantly. And I think Baisungor Sursukayev, he's a really good prospect. He's really good grappling. I think that's his main style. He knows how to wrestle. He's really good on the ground, and his striking, it just seems pretty weak. But I think he's kind of like Khamzat Chimaev, where he really doesn't need to strike in order to get people to back up. He doesn't need to earn respect on the feet. He gets that respect anyways. He is a dangerous guy, and he does have really good front kicks in the middle. I can't fucking speak. And Sursukayev, it depends on how he does against Mokaev. I do think he's going to dominate him, but Mokaev isn't really the best opponent. He is getting fed cans right now, and honestly, for a prospect like him, he's young, he isn't experienced, but I do think he has a lot of potential, and, training with the right people like Khamzat and all these guys, that is very much going to help him a lot, and that's what I'm going to put in the B tier right now, but I feel like he's going to stay undefeated for a while. I don't really see... I mean, there's people in the middleweight division who are going to beat him. I feel like he would lose to a guy like Marco Tulio. Or, I feel like he would lose to... Like, I would say Marco Tulio or a Bruno Ferreira. Like, guys who can grapple but also strike really well as well. Like, he kind of just needs experience. He needs to develop his striking a lot. That's why I'm putting him in the B tier. I don't think he's a good, really good prospect. Like, oh, this guy could be champ one day. But, he's young. Who knows? He can improve. But he's kind of one-dimensional. So I'm going to put him in the B tier. If there was a C tier, I'd put it in there. But, yeah, I don't really see why he would be A or S. So, yeah. Next, we got the pedophile, Mosvar Evloev. If we were rating this based on numbers, I'd probably put him at 17 because that is what he prefers. But I'm going to put him in the A tier. I'm going to be real. I think Mosvar is very overrated. And for one reason only. I think people overrate how dangerous Mosvar is. He doesn't get any finishes. He doesn't really look that impressive in his fights either. Like, I think the last impressive fight he's had where he wasn't a close split decision or really a robbery was maybe the Dan Ige fight. And he just doesn't strike me as a guy who could give Volkanovski a lot of problems. But I would put him in the A tier because he is very well-rounded. He has good striking, he has good wrestling, and he has beat good people in the division. He is the number one contender, and he should be next up for the title. They might give Lopez the title shot because he's Mexican, and you know how Mexicans get that DEI fucking bias and privilege, because they want a Mexican champ so bad, but they won't get one because they just can't be champs. So, I mean, Mosvar, he proved himself to be the number one contender. He beat guys like Aljo, Allen, Ige, Diego Lopez. He has a win over Diego Lopez. I feel like nobody really talks about that, but he does. And I mean, he showed up. He showed up. He shows up. He fights. And although he's not as active as he should be, and to be honest with you, I don't think he should be rewarded for a title shot. He is the number one contender. I had to put him in the A tier because he's just so high ranked, and he is 19-0. He has a lot of good wins. And although he doesn't really look impressive in those wins, and he has no finishes in the UFC, he still has an impressive resume. So I have to put him in the A tier. You know what? I'm going to put Sursukayev in the D tier. I like it. The B tier, I'm going to put some people in there that are actually good. And I just don't think Sursukayev is on... Or, you know what? How do I... Tier. And, I'll put Sursukayev in the C tier. Yeah, that's better, right? But, yeah. Mosvar, he's still good. And... I mean, moving on to the next contender, Michael Morales, and he is fighting this Saturday, and I'll put him in the A tier. The reason why I put him in the A tier is because although he is very untested, I do think he is insanely good. And one thing about him that makes him really good is the fact that he uses his range really well. He knows how to find shots. He's pretty much a sniper, and when he hits you, he hits hard. And he's looked impressive in all of his fights in the UFC. He's had some competitive fights here and there, like against the one against Nick Veretanikov and then Jake Matthews as well. And that's why like those fights kind of had me thinking like, and also the Neil Magny and Burns fights, he was still getting taken down by both of them. It has me thinking he loses to Sean Brady bad, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wins that fight. And one thing about him that I do have some concern with is I don't know how good he is yet. Like, we've seen some fights where, he has been reckless and he has shown some flaws, but he is getting better at such an astronomical rate, even as the competition's going up. I just think that, you have to put him in the A tier because he is so dangerous as a prospect. He is the number 8 ranked contender, and to be honest with you, he has looked impressive in all of his fights. He's 18-0. I mean, if he gets a win against Sean Brady this weekend, he's next up for the title, no doubt. 19-0, all these finishes, like he would definitely be next up for the title. And he's like kind of a dark horse of the division, and honestly, I'd rate that above what Mosvar is doing in his division. So yeah, I'd put him in the A tier. Next, we got Malcolm Wellmaker. I like Wellmaker, man, but I'm putting him. And I'm trying not to be biased, but I'm have to put him in the C tier. And the only reason why I'm putting him in the C tier is because he is still untested. And one thing I don't like about Wellmaker, and this is what I'm gonna say. So he fights Cameron Simon, right? Like I think March or April, and he has a very impressive first round knockout. And you'd think like he would start fighting a guy higher up in the rankings. Like, maybe back then, a Ronnie Barcelos or a Cameron Smotherman. Or, he was supposed to fight Sergey City, which was a step up in competition. But, now he's fighting... And then, no, not Sergey City. He fought Moutinho. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. And then he fights Moutinho, which is a massive step down in competition. He gets a first round knockout. Everyone's going crazy. And... honestly, that's why I don't really rate him as high, because he's getting these knockouts, but he's getting them against cans, like guys who suck. I'm not saying Cameron Simon sucks, but he is very much a very tailored matchup for Matt Wellmaker because he is reckless on the feet. He leaves his chin up there, and Wellmaker's a sniper. He has a very powerful left hook that a lot of people just start getting caught by, and they just go to sleep. And we saw that against Moutinho. People were kind of hyping that up because Moutinho's never been chinned like that before, even though he got knocked. He did get chinned by Sean O'Malley, so therefore Wellmaker's somewhat serious, But Moutinho is not that good, and don't get me wrong, I just don't see enough. I haven't seen his grappling. I haven't seen enough to make me think that this guy is a legitimate undefeated prospect or a contender. We got to see how he passes his grappling test. He's fighting against Cody Haddon. I am picking Haddon to win this fight, and he is taking this on short notice, but I do think it is a very big test for Malcolm Wellmaker. And if he wins this fight in a dominant way, in a finish, yeah, then he's a legitimate prospect because Cody Haddon is pretty good. So, yeah, but I'm about to put him in the C right now, but honestly, these rankings could change. I might make a video like this sometime in the future with new undefeated UFC fighters and changed rankings, all that stuff, depending, but yeah. Next, we got the boy, Lerone Murphy. I'm putting him in the A tier. He's proven himself to be a very legitimate contender in this division. Coming off a very vicious knockout over Aaron Pico. Coming off a dominant performance against Josh Emmett where he just pieced him up. And, very competitive fight against Dan Ige. But to be honest, Dan Ige is a tough motherfucker. And he has good sneaky power. And Lerone Murphy's looked impressive. He's 17-0. And I'm going to be real, he kind of looks more impressive than Mosvar right now. Because Mosvar was supposed to fight Pico. He pulls out. And then Lerone Murphy on short notice takes on Pico. And he just knocks him out in the first round. He's a very technical striker. And I feel like he would give Volk a lot of problems. Volk hasn't really fought a striker like Lerone Murphy, and Lerone Murphy's a very calculated counter striker, and it would be kind of like a faint battle, like guys just trying to find the best move on each other. It would be chess match, and I feel like Lerone Murphy just has the physicality advantage. He has the power and speed advantage. He's younger, like not younger that much, but he has less mileage on the clock, as you can say. And I feel like he would beat Volk. I feel like he would beat Volk. I don't think Mosvar would beat Volk because Mosvar is mainly a wrestler and he doesn't really have that finishing ability and that counter striking. And he is kind of sloppy on the feet. And that's why I think Volkanovski would be a very hard matchup for Mosvar. But Lerone Murphy is a hard matchup for Volk. He's a really good striker, man, and he has sneaky power. He's very good off the back foot as well, and he's able to kind of do well with the teeps and the jabs and the 1-2s, and like he's able to pick people apart, and he's very calculated. And when he has a full camp, he's able to demonstrate a really good game plan. So, I mean, Lerone Murphy, man, he deserves to be in the A tier. I feel like he could be champ one day. Like, I do think that he would beat Volkanovski, and if they do make that fight, if they make Volk versus Lerone Murphy, man, I that's the next fight to make, man. But, I feel like Lerone would also beat some contenders, too. I mean, he would beat Diego Lopez. I don't rate Diego Lopez that high. People are high on him because of that Gene Silva win. But he was getting pieced the fuck up, and he caught Gene Silva with spinning elbow while he was being very, very reckless. And Lerone Murphy's just not going to do that, He's going to stay safe. He's going to pick apart Diego Lopez from range. And I mean, Lerone Murphy does well under pressure. That's one thing you got to respect about him. He does well under pressure. He's able to pull things out of the hat. He has a tough chin. He is pretty tough as a dude. So I'm going to have to put him in the A tier. He's very underrated for me. And he's underrated for a lot of people. Nobody really talks about it, but I feel like he would be champ one day. And it would be one of those, we should have seen this coming, kind of fighters. Next, we're going to go up to the heavyweight division. We got Mario Pinto. Now, Mario Pinto, he's a very good prospect. I'm putting him in the B tier. First B tier in the video. Mario Pinto, he's got it, man. I feel like he's a lot more impressive now. He looked pretty mid in that Austin Lane fight, but against Jonathan Diniz, who was way better. He showed improvement. He showed a well-roundedness to him. He can grapple. He can strike. Jonathan Diniz isn't the best grappler, but he showed a lot of versatility. I think he's a dangerous prospect, and we could see him get ranked pretty soon. That's why I put him in the B tier, just because he's a pretty good prospect, and he has sneaky power. And his striking is pretty good. He's really well-rounded. He trains with a good team. And he trains with Manchester top team, I think, with Lerone Murphy. He's training a lot of good technical strikers. So he brings like a sort of like new kind of era in heavyweight where now we're seeing more athletic, more well-rounded heavyweights, not just power merchants and guys with tough chins. We're seeing guys who can actually fight. So Mario Pinto, man, he has to be in the B tier. He's a really good prospect. He's 11-0. I don't think a lot of heavyweights give him a lot of problems. I mean, maybe if he gets a Derek Lewis fraud check, but even then, I feel like he beats Derek Lewis. And I feel like he would probably lose to a guy like Curtis Blades or Volkov or Pavlovich. Maybe not Pavlovich. I feel like Pavlovich would make this a close fight. But yeah. Next, we got the boy Shavkat Rakhmonov. I mean, we have to go in the A tier. But I kind of do want to put him in the B tier because I really do think he's inactive. And to be honest with you, he's fumbled so many title shots. But he is still very, very good. And I think people forget that. He doesn't fight as much. And he didn't look good in his last fight. And people are thinking this guy's over. Oh, he's just done. But no, he's good. He is really good. He's well-rounded. He's very dangerous on the feet. I think a lot of people kind of forget that he was still kind of piecing up Ian Gary on the feet. And doing that to Ian Gary, hurting him bad on the feet, almost landing that spinning wheel kick as well. I mean, as a grappler, that's very impressive. And he was able to dominate a guy like Ian Gary for almost 4 rounds out of 5, And he did that injured. He had to take that fight on short notice, and I felt like he could have given Bilal a lot of tough problems, especially with his height and his lankiness and his striking. So Shavkat, he is still really good, and I'd love to see JDM versus Shavkat one day. Shavkat fights again in February or something. JDM retains the belt. We could maybe see JDM versus Shavkat. That is the bigger fight to make compared to Brady, and I don't think Usman is up there yet for a title shot. So, Yeah, I think Jadian versus Shavkat, that's such a good fight. But apart from that, Shavkat, he's really well rounded. He's I wouldn't say he's a prospect, but he's a very established contender. He has some good wins. I mean, to be honest, a lot of his wins aren't ranging well, but Ian Gary's Ian Gary is a very good win, and what he did to Ian Gary, nobody has been able to do to him since. So, yeah. Next, we got Taurus Finny. Yeah, he's going to F tier. He fucking sucks. Um, Taurus Finny was a guy who was very hyped as a prospect. He was in the Dana White's Contender Series, and he had to fight on there 3 times to get a contract because the first 2 times he looked very shit. He has a win over Cam Rouston, which is crazy, but Taurus Finney, he's just not good, and we saw that against Robert Valentin in their fight. He didn't do much on the feet, and I don't think he really can strike. He's kind of like a Gelton Almeida, but worse. And when he wrestles, he just holds there, and I feel like if that fight was scored in like 321 or later, Robert Valentin would have won that fight. But and what was one of the guys, Tony Weeks or something? Yeah, he scored it for Valentin. Yeah, that guy was right because Taurus Finney didn't do shit in that fight. He kind of sucks, and I'm gonna be real. Like if you're doing that to Valentin, bro, I don't really think you have a chance against any actual good middleweights. So he has to go to F tier. He's undefeated, but I'm gonna be real. Mokaev would have fucking murdered him. And yeah, he's just not good. He's not good. He had all this hype, but he's just not good. Next, we got Azamat, the professional Merzakanov. I'm putting him in the A tier. This guy is going to be champion one day. And he is a bit older, like 40-year-old prospect. 40-year-old prospect. But he is really, really good. And he gives a lot of problems to these light heavyweights, man. Because I think one thing about him is he's well-rounded. He has really good wrestling defense. But his boxing and his power is just so good. He hits hard. He hits like a truck. And, like Lucas Tracy, rest in peace, Lucas Tracy. He didn't die, but, like, we'll always remember Lucas Tracy, man. Hopefully he comes back, because I miss him. I miss him so much. He's a density maxer, and I think he's able to generate so much power, and like what he did to Rakic, I mean, Rakic was a very tough fight, and I picked Rakic to beat Merzakanov, and then Merzakanov goes out there, he makes it pretty competitive. Rakic was leading, but like he made it competitive. Showed really good takedown defense against Rakic, who is a pretty decent wrestler, and just knocked him out with a jab. Not even like a power jab, like a fucking jab. Like Rakic ran himself into a jab and just got slept, bro. I mean, Merzakonov's dangerous. And, if he goes against a guy like Yuri, man, he has the potential to knock out Yuri, man. That guy, Yuri's good, but I don't know. This is a bad matchup. I'd love to see Merzakanov fight Ankalaev for obvious reasons. But, I mean, you gotta just recognize the fact that this guy's very much a future title challenger. He's very good. And he brings a sort of power that we haven't seen in light heavyweight, apart from Pereira. But I think he's probably more fundamentally sound than Pereira. That's what makes him really dangerous. The fact that he has really good boxing and fundamentals and very good footwork. But yeah, he's had to be in the A tier. Next, we got Muhammad Mokaev. I'm putting him in the B tier. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's very good, but I don't want to say he's very good. I think he's overrated a lot. He is very overrated. He doesn't really have the best. He has a good resume, but you look at his performances, he isn't the best. And I'm gonna be real. He has a lot of snooze fights. He has a lot of close fights, boring ones, and a lot of fights where it could have been in today's scoring system would be scored the other way. And and now he's just kind of hand crushing back at Brave FC or Brave CF and all these other promotions. And I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I don't think he's that good, but I feel like Pantoja would destroy him easily. Like, I don't think he's that good. And maybe he's young. He's young. I know he's young, but right now, in his current state, in his performances in the UFC, he's not that good. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put him in B just because I can't put him in this category because these are actually good contenders. But Mokaev just does not fit there. He doesn't. Next, we got Farid Basharat. I'll put him in the C tier, but I'm not saying this because like he's not that good. But C tier is kind of like good, but like not that good, like not proven yet. Farid Basharat, he is pretty good. He has some good striking. He had a very impressive win against Chris Gutierrez, and he's undefeated. He seems to be going up to that ranked level soon, and I feel like he could be ranked. He is pretty good. So I have to put him in the C tier just because he is still unproven. He hasn't had the best performances in a lot of his fights, and to be honest with you, I feel like he is just being slated to get knocked out at some point. There have been some moments where he gets hurt, and he is pretty low volume and very reactionary, and that's why I don't really rate him that high. So I have to put him in the C tier. Next, we got Rafael Estevam. I'll put him in the B tier. He's a pretty good prospect. He is pretty good. He had a robbery win against Charles Johnson, and his Charles Johnson, all of his losses are either by flukes or fucking robberies or something like that, or steroid cheats and all that stuff. But Rafael Estevam is pretty good, and he's looked really good in his last fight against Felipe Bunez, and now he's I think he was supposed to fight Alan Nascimento, but he pulled out. He has an injury, but he is a really good prospect, and he's really well-rounded. He has really good grappling, really good striking, and he gives a lot of problems to a lot of flyweights, I feel like he would beat Amir Albazi. I feel like he would. Amir Albazi's kind of camping that top 5 spot, but he doesn't deserve to be there. And, yeah, I think he's pretty good, man. He is really, really good. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Next, we got Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously S tier. I mean, it's just obvious. He's undefeated. He's looked impressive. He dominated Trickus in all 5 rounds. And, the 5th round was pretty close, but he dominated Trickus really bad. Trickus is really good. I think people kind of think Trickus is shit now because he got dominated by Khamzat, but Trickus is insanely good, and he's a tough motherfucker. And Khamzat was able to dominate him for, like, the whole fight. And one thing about it is that he's getting better. He's young, he's in his prime, and, I feel like he's unstoppable right now. I don't really see a lot of middleweight contenders beating him. Maybe Fluffy has a chance, but that's if Fluffy can get a title shot, He needs to fight one more person. And then Imavov, I don't think he has a chance, so. Yeah, I have to put him in the S tier. If I put Ilia in the S tier, Khamzat has to be in the S tier. They're both pound for pound, top 5. And, yeah, it's just obvious. We gotta put him there, man. Next, we got Nurul Aliev. I'll put him in the C tier. He's a decent prospect. He has some good grappling. His striking's pretty decent. He doesn't look that good in a lot of his fights, and I feel like, he's going against Shamrock, and I haven't really picked who's going to win that fight. I really don't know. I have to kind of research that, but I'm kind of leaning towards Shamrock in that fight. I feel like Aliev is kind of like one of those guys that is under the radar, and he kind of deserves to be under the radar because he doesn't really do enough in a lot of his fights. It goes to decision a lot, and, yeah, he's just not really that type of guy. I feel like you'd be C tier because if he does beat Shamrock, that is a pretty good win. So, yeah, Aliev is definitely coming up there. He is undefeated, but it's just not enough. Next, we got Jacoby Smith. I'm also going to put him in the C tier. I don't really rate him super high. He is a really good wrestler, and he has some good power. But in the Nico Price fight, it shouldn't have gone past the 2nd round. I'm going to be real. It shouldn't have. And, he is pretty good, but I do think that he is going to be due for a fraud check one day. I feel like he is. He's just going to fight a really good guy, and he's going to have some trouble. And he looks pretty slow on the feet. He's not as dangerous. And, I have to put him in the C tier. Because if I put him in these tiers right here, it's like, it just doesn't do him service. Because he's not as good of a prospect, But, yeah. Next, we got Andre Lima. Andre Lima is pretty good. He's a guy that flies under the radar a lot. People don't really talk about him, but he is a really good prospect. He's undefeated in the UFC. He's undefeated. He's coming off a very good submission win, and you know, I really do like Andre Lima. People don't really talk about him, man, but he's pretty good. I really like him. So I'm gonna have to go with Beats here. I feel like he's a good prospect. I feel like he's not gonna stay undefeated, but you know, he shows a lot of good promise. If he gets lost on his record, or like if he loses against a good guy, like maybe in his next fight, bro, I feel like he'd be so much better. Like you kind of need losses in the beginning of your career to really like improve. Next, we got Abdul Malik. I'll put him in the B tier. He is pretty impressive. He gets a lot of knockouts. He is pretty dangerous on the feet. He's aggressive. He's entertaining. And, I mean, he got a draw against Cody Brundage. We overturned it to a draw. And, Cody Brundage just finds a way to somehow not lose a fight. So, unless you're Eric McConaughey. But, yeah, Monster Abdul Malik, bro. Yeah, man. He is good. He is good. He is good. Next, we got Navajo Sterling. He's going in the D tier, man. Fuck Navajo Sterling. I'm gonna be real. Overrated. He is good, but he is overrated. And I have to put him in the D tier because I keep thinking this guy is going to get a knockout. I keep thinking this guy's going to get a finish and look impressive in a fight. But he hasn't done that. And he has fought so many times in the UFC already, to where it's like you're kind of just telling me, like, yeah, I don't see you really making it far in the light heavyweight division. It's not the best division, but he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked so dominant. There's not like really any wins in the UFC where I'm thinking, yeah, this guy's the real shit. Decision with Tuco. Decision with Tuco. Or was it Ivan Arslan? I mean, he fought Ivan Arslan too. Decision with Ivan Arslan. Decision with Tuco Tokos. Decision with fucking Pilato. I mean, he gets a lot of decisions and he makes these fights pretty competitive, and it just makes me think, like, I don't know if you're really just inexperienced or you really aren't just that good. And I feel like it's going to be more of he's just not that good. He's just very overhyped prospect. Izzy was hyping him up. All these Aussie guys, New Zealand, Kiwi guys were hyping him up. He's undefeated. He's like 8-0 or something. But yeah, not that good. Next, we got Yadir Del Val, and I'm gonna have to put him in the. I'm gonna put him in the D tier, not because he sucks, like Navajo Sterling, but I think he's unproven. His last fight was literally rigged, and before that he subbed Connor Matthews, so I had to put him in the D tier just because I really don't know much about how good he could be. But right now, in his current standing, he isn't really a prospect that I'm like thinking, yeah, this guy's good. And I'm just thinking, it was a rigged fight. It's not his fault. He didn't know it was rigged. He just went out there, submitted him, thought he got a submission win. But he kind of just talks a lot. He's like, yeah, I'm the best bantamweight in the division, man. Or is he featherweight? Yeah, I'm the best featherweight in the division, man. And I'm just thinking, like, bro, like, your last win was rigged. So I really don't rate him that high. Next, you got our first woman on the list. You got Bia Mosquito. She is undefeated. I'm gonna put her in the B tier. Honestly, she's pretty good. I think one thing about her is that her strike. She kind of reminds me of Jessica Andrade, but she has a really good ground game. She's kind of slow on the feet. She kind of loads up her punches, and she has a good power shot. But I mean, she looked really good in her last fight. I knew she was going to get it by submission, and she did. People call her the arguable GOAT of women's BJJ, and now she's in MMA, and she showed that, like, she transitioned really well into MMA. She's able to use her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu very well, which is something a lot of people don't really do, like Buchecha, and in the bantamweight division, there isn't as much stacked to it. Not a lot of good grapplers in the division. So I feel like Bia Mosquito is gonna make it far. I'm gonna put her B tier, but B tier, man, she's kind of higher up there. I put her higher up against compared to Mario Pinto because I feel like she has a lot of potential. I feel like she'll stay undefeated for a while, and I feel like she won't stay undefeated. She'll probably lose if she fights a top 5 contender or the champion. Simple as that. And I feel like she has a lot of improvement. She has a lot of room to improve. So yeah. Next, we got our French fighter on the list. We got Axel Sola. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna put him in the D tier. He's not that impressive. He looked pretty shit in his last regional fight, and then when he fought in the UFC, he went against Reese McKee, and it was really competitive. He KO'd Reese McKee, but I'm gonna be real, it was kind of a weird stoppage, and he was kind of losing that fight. And Reese McKee is just not good. He's just not good. So I have to put him in the D tier. He's undefeated, but he's probably going to lose very soon. Like a lot of these guys, I feel like they're going to lose in their next 1 or 2 fights, and that's why I put him in the D tier because he doesn't really impress me as an undefeated fighter. He's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm undefeated, but like you're probably going to lose, and I'm probably going to bet against you on your last fight. On your next fight. But, he kind of represents French MMA. French people are probably glad they don't have to have, French people are probably glad they have Axel Sola. I don't think they even know who Axel Sola is. But, yeah, I'll put him in the D tier, man. Not that good. Next, we got Dakota Jacheva. I'm going to put her in the A tier, man. She is really good. And she had a very impressive KO win against Talia Santos, a girl who took Shevchenko to a split decision and arguably won that. And she's looked really good in PFL, and I know she wants to stay in PFL, but if she goes to the UFC, I feel like she would be a top 5 mainstay. She's young, she's tall for the division, she's pretty lanky, she has really fast hands, she has good power for a woman, and I would love to see Dakota Chicheva fight like a Natalia Silva or a Manon Fiorot or maybe like a Rose Namajunas. I feel like her versus Rose Namajunas would be a perfect fight to make. It would be a really good test to see if she can be champion because Rose Namajunas is a championship caliber fighter. And I'd love to see that. I feel like Dakota Chicheva has so much potential, and it kind of sucks the UFC haven't signed her yet, but I feel like if they were signing Patchy Mix, I feel like this is the one PFL signing that would actually fucking work. Like, Dakota Chicheva would do so well in the flyweight division. And it would be like a Yuri Prokaska kind of signing where, I mean, they're both former champions, man. Like, you gotta take them in the UFC. But you gotta be in the UFC, man. But yeah, she is in the UFC right now. I feel like she will be soon, so this video will age a little bit better. So I think Dakota Chicheva is really good, and I feel like she would beat Shevchenko. I feel like she would. I don't really rate Shevchenko that much. Wei Lee is a different story. I feel like she would struggle a lot against Wei Lee just due to the grappling threat. But Shevchenko, I feel like she would beat her. So I'm going to have to go to Dakota Chicheva, bro, on the A tier. Anyways, this is my whole list, man. Of all the undefeated fighters currently in the UFC roster, pardon 2 fighters that should be in the UFC right now but aren't, so I included them on here. Yeah, man. It's a very good list. Wanted to make a very special video. Kind of doing bedtime MMA kind of thing. I love to rip off I love to imitate bedtime MMA. But I'll see you in the next one.